Hi guys, welcome back to the course on Mastering Polite Conversations. This course is presented by me, Palak Sharma, your educator for English at Unacademy. Before we set off, you can read a few things about me on the slide. I'm an economics honors student from Sophia College. I am a mixture of Keynes and Shakespeare because I love English and economics almost equally. I'm also the Global Youth Ambassador from A World at School, which is an international organization promoting education worldwide. I'm a poet at heart and a content developer. Also, you should do one thing once you're done with this course or this lesson. If you like it, then do rate and review it because your feedback is literally very important for us. Also, keep in mind that you share it with people on your social media accounts as well as on various platforms where you think that this course is required for people. This course is irrespective of a person's age, be it young, be it old. It's important for each one of us to know how to master polite conversations. So you can recommend it and also share it with anyone you feel is good for. And if you like my courses, then you can follow me on Unacademy. This is my link and this is me. So we'll start with today and discuss how to disagree politely. Now, you should know that disagreeing in spoken English, just saying I disagree, it's often too direct. Now, disagreeing is again a very important part because when you disagree with someone, it can often be a challenge to express your point of view without offending that person. At the same time, it's also important to express your honest opinion. So, here we have some ways to disagree without acknowledging or offending the person you are talking to. So, acknowledge the other person's opinion before you agree or disagree. Make sure you make it clear that you understand what the other person is saying and that it's a valid argument before you disagree. This shows you are listening to the other person and it makes your argument more strong. It makes your argument stronger. So before we set off, you can see here are a few terms I've mentioned. So we'll just see how can we put them to use. So the first one is I'm afraid I disagree. Now we can say that suppose there's a conversation going on between two people and one of them says we'll need to buy at least 10 new clothes this year in order to keep up with the cold. So the other one says, the wife says, I'm afraid I disagree. If we focus on improving the quality of the ones which we have already got, and then we shouldn't want new purchases in this case. So again, she had disagreed with her husband, but politely, because she had said, I'm afraid I disagree, which reduced the intensity of the disagreement. The next one is I beg to differ. Now, suppose someone says that you're talking to a friend, a colleague, or maybe your boss, and he says that books are a thing of past. The future, it's in online publications. So you are a bibliophile and you think that books are better than anything else. So you say, I beg to differ, sir. A lot of people still prefer to have a book in their hands rather than read it on a screen. So again, you are disagreeing, but with a polite connotation in your notation in your voice, and that is I beg to differ. The next one which we have is I'm not sure about that. Now we can use it in an example. We can say, suppose two of the colleagues are talking and one of them says, China will definitely be the dominant world power over the next century, suppose. The next one, like you, if suppose you are one of them, then you should say, I'm not so sure about that. I just don't think their current level of growth is sustainable enough. So in that case, you are disagreeing with that person, but you're not sounding rude again. You're just saying, I'm not so sure about that. You're expressing your own disagreement related to it, and you have in no ways demeaned his or her own morals and ethics in this. The next one is not necessarily. So, like we have this conversation between two people. One of them says, if everyone took short showers, the world's water shortage problem would be solved. So the next person says, not necessarily. I disagree because far more water is used in the production of food, for example, than for taking showers. So he has disagreed very nicely, saying not necessarily, using this phrase and keeping up his opponent's dignity high, keeping up his social face also. The next term which we have is I don't see it that way. Now this phrase is again important. Suppose there are two people conversing. One of them says globalization is just another way for rich countries to exploit poor countries. The other one says, who's disagreeing with this dialogue, and he says, I don't see it that way. I think it's mutually beneficial relationship. So in this case, he had disagreed already with what the first person said about globalization. But then again, he disagreed in a way that he just made it his own point of view. He just said it from his own point of view, saying that maybe that's not the way I think about it. I think differently. The next one which we have is I'm sorry, but I don't agree. Now, suppose we have this again a conversation. One says, I think we should completely change the packaging of this product and make it look more modern. So the next one says, I'm sorry, but I don't agree. If we change the product's appearance, the current consumers won't recognize it anymore. So again, he has a point. He is not agreeing, but he has used the phrase, the magic word, I am sorry, before going ahead. So in this case, he has put more emphasis on regretting that he has to disagree, and therefore the person who is listening to him, he automatically think that okay, this man didn't want to disagree intentionally, but maybe the situation demands, so that's why he's disagreeing. The next one and the last one in this segment which we have got is yes, but, and then you can keep your voice. So in this case, you're acknowledging that the other person has been right in his own way, but then yes, it's not going to be the correct thing. So suppose you go to a shopkeeper and just like you go to a shopkeeper and you go and buy a bag for 900. So then you come back home and you show it off to your friends. So they say, wow, the backpack is only 900. What a bargain. But then you say yes, but it doesn't look like it's made of a very strong material, which you realize later. So you agree that the bargain was good enough, but again, the material is not good. So you now know that, okay, yeah, I got it for 900, but still, that was not that good enough. So this was all we have done in the case we have to disagree formally, and that too directly. The next case comes when you have to disagree in indirect manner. So one way to disagree indirectly is simply to say, what's your own opinion? So it's common to use the words well and actually if you are giving a signal that you're going to express a contrasting opinion. So if you say well, in my opinion, which is the first clause, how can you use it? So one person says studying English grammar is the key to speaking correctly. So then you say, well, in my opinion, it's more important to practice listening. So in this case, you haven't like directly disagreed and you haven't said no, studying English grammar is not important, but yet you have put forward a disagreement in a very subtle way, in a very slow way, and you have done it by giving an indirect disagreement, which is by using words like well, which give your opinion to the other person. The next we have is actually, I think. Now suppose you have this conversation and one of them says that that Cristiano Ronaldo is the best football player of this century. Then the other one says, no, actually I think that Messi was better. Yeah, Messi is better. So in this case, you are having a difference of opinion, you are disagreeing, but still there's a kind of respect you have for each other, that you are not demeaning yourself. You're not saying that no, that Cristiano is not good at all. It's Messi who's best. You're not saying it like that. You're not disagreeing with the kind of notation. You're not saying no way. You're not informally saying these kind of things. You're simply using a polite language in a very poised way. You're expressing that you are not comfortable with saying that he was like Cristiano Ronaldo is the best player of the century. So that's it about how you deal with situations when you have to disagree. And it's very important that you keep these phrases in your mind forever, because disagreeing with anyone in the world can happen. And suppose you're sitting in a national meeting with people from all over the world and it's time for you to agree or disagree with the solution which are offered. So unfortunately, you can only agree on one solution. So you have to disagree with someone. In that case, you don't have to be too direct or even rude or aggressive, because it could have serious consequences for you. So if this happens with you, all you need to do is just remember these phrases, keep these points in your mind, and acknowledge what other person is saying. Say that I see what you're saying, but this is not going to work. I understand where you're coming from, but again, this is not going to work. I'm sorry, but I disagree with you about this. So in these cases, you are actually disagreeing with that person in a very polite manner and without making him feel down also. So these words have to be mugged up by you. Keep practicing them as much as possible so that you master the art of polite conversation. This is pretty much everything for today. Do rate, review, recommend, and share this lesson as much as you can. Thank you and have a nice day.